Tales from the wild. Stories from the heart. A journey into the mind and soul of fired-up business professionals where they share their vision for the future. And hear from a different non-profit organization every month as they create awareness of their goals and their needs. Dive into a world of untamed passion as we join our host, Shireen for this month's episode of Friends from Wild Places.
I don't know if you offer any swag, but I see like umbrellas, like Mulling Mortition umbrellas, like Mary Poppins. Like you have cups. You need an umbrella. You need an umbrella, Jen.
Yeah, that's actually quite clever. I have an Etsy store, and I don't have an umbrella in my Etsy store. I have tumblers and things like that, t-shirts. But I'm kind of feeling this umbrella idea. So yeah, I think I might have to do that. That'll be next.
I'm talking about successes, right? You've got so many things in the pipeline, you're doing great, and this is super exciting to hear all these, but with being a business owner comes failures, huh? So, with that being said, you said that business failures teach us more than success ever does. So can you tell us about a specific time when things went wrong? Maybe when you had to make some serious cuts? And how did you get through that mentally?
So sometimes we think an idea is going to be well received and it's a good idea, and we invest time or energy into it. And then you realize the demand isn't there, or maybe it's not the right time. But we all can fall prey to the sunk cost fallacy. I've already done this and that, so I got to see it through, right? And I think sometimes when I've tried to do workshops, the scheduling or the timing has not been good. And so I have spent time into creating a whole workshop situation, got the space lined up, my supplies, and then the demand just wasn't there and I had to cancel it, right? So, that's not the end of the world because I can always do it later. But the idea is that sometimes you have to be paying more attention. Just because you have a good idea that you think is a good idea doesn't mean that your audience is going to think it's a good idea. And so you have to realize that not every idea you get is a good one, right? Mm-hmm. And you have to also be comfortable with getting to a point in deep diving into one where you say, you know what, this is not the time for this idea, or this is not going to work out for me to do right now. And like I said, it can be something you're excited about and that you think is fantastic, but and sometimes it's hard to let go of something. I know that I also create bones and I create mandibles and I create the top of skulls for reconstruction. And I went through a lot with that of trying to figure out how to do that. And the materials are not cheap, just like for the head. So I went through a lot of trial and error in creating the training supplies and the things that I've made. And there are things that I've tried to create or do that I'm just like, this is just not going to work. This is just not what I need to focus on. Mm-hmm. But I've spent money and I've spent time. But it's part of it. And I think expecting failure in the beginning and expecting that you're not going to be profitable in the beginning is like a reality, right? The understanding that you are not going to be like this. I cannot just solely rely on this income necessarily and eat right now. And there's a saying about doing the things you have to do that will then enable you to do the things you want to do. And so sometimes I'm doing things, but in my mind, I'm like, God, I'd really rather be making a head right now. And so it's like, I can't right now. My poor husband, because there's stuff, if you ever visited my house, you would see, it's not just all up here. There's silicone in my freezer. There's so many things. Wow. I'm working on suture pad research and development right now. I'm not even going to talk about that, but I have a tiny baby flame locker in my house for any of my chemicals that might be. I have a flame locker in my laundry room, so when you go in there, there's it looks like a little yellow cabinet, and Dr. T knows they have the labels on them, right? Hazardous. So that's where I store some of my preservative chemicals in my laundry room. And I just have stuff all over the place. But some things, like I said, some things work and some things don't. And sometimes not being afraid to ask suppliers and give them an opportunity to let you work with some of their stuff is I have no shame in my game. When I had my first workshop, I was like, hey Dodge, I was like, I'm having a workshop over here. And they're like, huh, let me provide you with some refreshments. And I'm like, of course, I will happily accept some of refreshments, right? Or Frigid Fluid Company, I'm like, your cosmetics look really interesting and fantastic. And I happen to be hosting a workshop. They're like, well, let us bring you some samples and some cosmetics in which to try. And I'm like, well, that's a great idea, right? So it's like, don't have any shame in your game. I am selective of who I kind of work with when it comes to getting supplies. I do have preferences. And even though I'm in an open relationship with these different companies, we're dating, I'm dating other people. But I think who you do business with is important too, because you're doing business with the people, right? Versus just a company name. And there are companies I will not touch with a 10-foot pole because I do not care for their ethos and the people that run it. And their products may be great, but I'm not going to contribute to their business's growth if they're not good people. And
I have a question. Have you thought about going beyond the funeral profession, almost into med surge and plastics on the medical field realm of things?
Yeah, so I have actually, because like the suture pads I'm working on, tattoo artists and medical people also use like suture pads. And also I've been doing more with expanding into looking at, okay, people that do makeup, because I follow makeup artists that do not do decedent makeup. I follow regular ones too. And I always tell my students, look at the people who do things similar to us, because a lot of times I think funeral service thinks they're on this little island. But if you're paying attention, I'm getting guidance and input from observing special effects artists. I'm getting guidance and input from medical. But yeah, I would love to be able to create these suture pads and be able to get those out. And I actually have like a video in suture training. So if you bought the suture pad, you'd have the training component too. But definitely, and I've also started branching out into educating death doulas. And I have an event coming up where I'm actually going to meet with a group of death doulas, and I'm going to talk to them about the expectations of a funeral professional if you want to collaborate with them, and why it's going to be kind of hard for you because it's unregulated. And funeral directors, we're very protective of our client families, and we're liable for whatever we work, people we work with. So, and also I'm going to talk with them about like legally what a funeral director is responsible for doing and what they could potentially do and how to understand. Because right now death doulas are a hot topic, as Nicole Kidman's mentioned them. So some people are like, oh, I want to do that too. And they don't really understand. So I've actually been branching out into that area of talking to people. And then I have an event that I scheduled for July just to do basic education for whoever wants to come. And part of it is in response to the documentary that's coming out, which the trailer is terrible. It's for that Death Boom movie that Leonardo DiCaprio's company produced. It just premiered at Tribeca on the 9th, and I feel like it will likely get picked up by a network and be widely distributed. But there are some things within that film that are kind of exaggerated. And so I'm doing an open educational day. It's not a whole day, where I'm going to explain what embalming is. And we're going to actually talk about what embalming is and also what to expect if you are companioning someone through the cycle going into death, how the body changes when a person has died, and what that means in terms of maybe how you're caring for that body, bathing and doing different things, like what that kind of looks like. I've seen that personally, and then just through the science of it to prepare people. And then we're going to talk about creating ritual and small things and care and environment, how to shroud. We're going to do a shrouding demonstration, and just talk about having meaning within care. And then one other thing I am doing, so I wrote a monologue, and I'm kind of nervous about it. There's an event here in San Antonio in October, and it's called In Honor, and it is an immersive grief experience that takes the military population into consideration. And so there's like theatrical things, there's art, all kinds of interesting things. And I actually wrote a monologue that they liked, and I'm going to be performing that. So I'm kind of getting into the theater piece, but there's people that do related things to what we do within death care. And so I wrote this, and like I said, I'm a little nervous about it because it's very, I'm very vulnerable within the monologue, and it touches on active duty suicide, and it also touches on utilizing alcohol for self-soothing. And so I'm like, I'm going to share these ugly things, and if it helps one other person feel less ugly, I mean, people can think what they want to think, but I feel like it's important. So,
Yeah,
so
you'll be great.
I've been working in different little, I have tendrils and different little things.
It's
Yeah,
awesome. You'll be
fascinating.
great. I wish I could be there and watch you perform the monologue. I'm sorry I
Oh,
can't,
thank
but
you.
you'll
I
be
know, I'm
great.
excited about it.
Oh my gosh, it'll be
Thank
so.
you.
I
I
want
hope so.
everyone.
It's a bit of a heavy piece, but
Yeah,
yeah. Well, maybe it'll be great and it'll travel and come all over the
it could
place or
be.
something, and then
Yeah.
I'll be doing the theater circuit or something, right?
Right. Well, ladies, I want to move on to the nonprofit, but Tanya, do you have any other questions you want to ask Jennifer in the meantime?
So, Jen, can you just, I know Shireen did a beautiful introduction for you when we first began this podcast. Can you just share, just again, your academic journey as far as like what school you went to? Just share for the, step by step on that aspect.
Yeah, so once upon a time, for those of you who have been born into technology and all these fabulous things, once upon a time we had to go in person to school. So I attended high school like normal and then went right into mortuary school. And I went to Gupton Jones College of Funeral Service because part of the reason I chose that school was that first funeral home I worked for, that owner and the colleague of his that worked there with him both went to that school. And they were mentors to me and I admired them both greatly. And so I had to go to their school, right? And because at the time I was like, well, this is a mortuary specific school, so it's going to be, special and better. It was just more expensive, to be honest. That was really the only difference, right? Because it was a private college too. And I will just shout out, look at test scores and look at a lot of different things when you're choosing a mortuary school, because it's not all about, oh, that name sounds fun. Like you need to probably do a little research beyond that. But then I worked on my bachelor's while I was active duty. I did that with American Military University. They do a lot of work with military folks. So I was able to do that while I was in. And then I got my bachelor's done right before I got out of the Navy. And then working on the master's degree, I went to University of Phoenix, and we did have some classroom learning in addition to, things online. So it was a hybrid situation, and it was a lot because I was working full time. Through all of these things, you're working full time, and sometimes it's important to recognize how many classes you should be taking based on the demand. And it's hard sometimes because you have to make money, but then you're also trying to do your academic stuff. And recognizing that is a season where you are going to have to be like just nose to the grindstone in a cave. And when I talked about the season of selfishness, you are saying no to a lot of things when you're in school. And so I got that done. And then I didn't pursue my doctorate right away. And part of that was because I hated statistics. And I still do. It's not my favorite. And so I was like, I'm not going to work on a doctorate because I had to do some statistics for my master's. Well, when I finally just couldn't stop looking at the money on the floor to go to school with, I ended up choosing the University of the Incarnate Word here in San Antonio. And I picked that school because they have a program. They have a PhD, which is the classical dissertation route, which people are familiar with. But then they also had what they call the DBA, which is a doctorate, but it's a little different. And in that DBA program, in lieu of a full dissertation, we had to perform research that got published in academic articles. We had to present research. So I presented mine. I did two types of research. I researched military marital dissatisfaction, and I talked about divorce rates in different branches and factors for that, and deep dove into that. But then I also talked about funeral service as an oligopoly industry business structure. And my mentor professor did not want me to do funeral service research because there wasn't much out there. And she was like, you don't have anything out there. I'm like, well, how does that problem get solved if we don't put more out there, right? So I finally got her to agree to let me do just an oligopoly business comparison, supply, demand, all of that, right? And so I did some research on that, and I was able to present that as well. And then I was able to get my doctorate that way. So that's another thing too. I think there are more options within the educational realm than maybe there were before in terms of seeing value and experience. And I encourage people, it can sound intimidating maybe to go back to school or to pursue a particular degree, but you would be surprised at how there are schools that are kind of like with the moment here, and they're seeing and granting opportunity to use skills you've already you've already grown through real life experience. And so that was, I graduated from University of Incarnate Word in 2018 or not. I'll have to look at my class ring. Okay, 2019. It feels so long ago. It feels so long ago. But yeah. And so I still hate statistics, by the way. And we had to learn coding as well. So I was ready to just put a pen in not one, but both of my eyes during that really painful process of working on my
That's
degree.
amazing.
Wow,
Very
fascinating,
cool.
fascinating.
Yeah.
I think we have to let's get you back for a second
Yeah,
podcast
please. We're
because
running out of time,
I
ladies. I
can
wish
bring
we
more
could
of
go
my
on more
my
and more.
projects. I can bring some more of my, by then I'll have my suture pad R&D completed probably, and I can probably show
Listeners,
you those.
you
They're
should go and
marinating
check it
behind
out.
me. So.
Yeah, you should see the workshop behind Jennifer's head right now. Oh, it's just very intriguing. We might have to get her back just so we can get some more shows on some more of the heads and products that you've
You know
created.
how the camera will try to follow your face sometimes? There's a setting. I want to say it's in like Google Meet or something, right?
Yes.
I was doing like a video with meeting with someone, and I have a burn simulation trauma mask in
Oh
here,
no.
and it's on a mannequin to help shape it.
Right.
And out of nowhere, the camera went right, like it tried to get this mannequin head, and the person I was with was like, "What is what is happening?" Like, what is
Right.
so
My
I have to
gosh.
make sure now my settings when I go in that it won't try to because there are a lot of random heads and stuff around me, and like the camera gets super confused, so I have to go in there and check my settings. Otherwise, you're talking to like a burn mask on a mannequin instead of me,
Right.
and it just gets awkward.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine what that looked like. But more on the non-profit, ladies. So this month, listeners, we're going to support Operation Solace. This is an exciting month, and you know we love to support non-profits. So Jennifer, take some time to share with the listeners what is this organization about? What do they do? Where can we support them?
Yes, so Operation Solace was actually founded here in San Antonio, and it was founded as a result of a journey that a veteran went on who was dealing with depression and mental health challenges, which is not uncommon in the veteran community. The suicide rates and things like that can be alarming. And so he was going through a personal journey of trying to find peace and doing all the things they tell you to do in terms of medically, and he just got to a really dark place. So then he traveled and was able to have an experience where they use I know I'm saying it wrong, psilocybin, the like mushroom ingredients as part of a therapy, and that changed his life, and it changed the life of his family who had been supporting this darker version of him, and then he kind of came out of it like renewed. And so Operation Solace, their purpose or their mission is really to help other veterans get access to this type of kind of non-traditional treatment options. And because he felt so strongly about the possibilities, and there's actually research and data where that type of therapy has been used for people that are terminally ill. And there's a lot of, I think Dr. T, you probably heard a lot of, some of the research that's involved in like grieving people and whatnot by incorporating these other means of treatment, this medicine, if you will. And so that's what Operation Solace is about. They do, in San Antonio, the Day of the Dead is a very big deal here. And they create altars during Day of the Dead that simulate the altars that what you would have in a home or, in different places that have your people that have died and how you pay homage and respect them. And Operation Solace, for that event, they create, and there's video footage of this, but last year it's called an offeranda. Their offeranda, the founder made dog tags and had like the sea of dog tags hanging at the top, and just all this imagery and basically honoring the veterans who have died by suicide. And it was very impactful. And his offeranda actually was like the most, it gained the most attention. And so he feels very passionately about this. And then his wife actually does support work so that if you are with a close person in your life that is needing assistance and undergoing some of those therapies or just change. I mean, it's a change, right? You leave one way and you come back another way. And so in her experiences and the things she's learned and with her background, she's developed a support mechanism so that if you are the family or the, close to that person, how you can best support them and prepare yourself a little bit for what that transition is like.
Very cool. Very cool.
We'll put those.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you for letting me share it.
Listeners, if you want to go and support, we'll put it in the show notes. Go check it out, learn more about them, and find ways to support them. There are people that really, really, really need some help, and they've been through it. They've seen things that half of us would never ever imagine to have seen, and it's impacted their life for the rest of their life. So they have to deal with that. And so I'm very, very, very happy that we can support this organization in that aspect. But let's get on to some more lightheartedness. Let's play a game, ladies. Let's play a game.
What game are we playing, Shireen? What game are we playing today?
It's called Word Association Game. Tanya and I have played it. Jennifer, have you played it?
I have not.
Okay, well, basically, it's word association. So we start with a word and then we go around the room, and basically, you have to come up with a word that's associated with the word that the person said before you. So each place, basically creating a chain of related words. The round can end after a predetermined number of terms, when players run out of the words, or if someone repeats a word or takes too long to respond. So this has got to be quick. All right.
Okay.
Do we understand? Perfect.
Yes.
We'll go Shireen, Tanya, Jennifer, and we'll keep on going. And I will start with the word, and we're going to start with coffin. Coffin is the word of the day. Go, Tanya. Coffin.
Okay. Casket.
Receptacle.
Flowers.
It's you now.
Marigold.
Flower. Oh, you already said flower, didn't you?
I will. That's the quickest word association game we've ever had on this show.
It's fun though, isn't it?
I'm gonna blame Zoom because I think there was a pause or something in there. So I don't know if I fully heard that you said flower. So that might have taken a moment. So I'm just gonna blame Zoom.
We could do one more round. Shireen, you want to do one more round?
Should we have? Do we have time? We don't really.
Yeah, we should do one more round.
Yeah, I need redemption. I can't go out.
Yeah, we got one more round. One more round.
Okay. Grave.
Black.
Headstone.
Night.
Did you say night?
Night.
Night?
Night.
Okay.
Like
Dark.
nighttime. Dark. Okay.
Moon.
Stars.
Sun.
Clouds.
Cemetery.
Urns.
Suturing.
Just said mummy.
Did you say surgery, right?
Mummy, okay. Can I do a mummy? Can we go weird? I want to say mummy.
Oh, like mummy, not mom, but like mummy.
Yeah.
Shroud.
Egypt. Egypt.
Jeez. Okay, no, that's my fault. I can't think
Oh.
I'm taking too long. I'm taking too long. Okay. We'll call it the end of that. Oh my gosh,
All right.
thank you so much, ladies. Please.
It was so fun. It was so fun.
I know.
Yes, that was.
Do me a favor. I know the listeners will probably be really inspired and want to reach out and contact either of us. Take a moment just to share where they can find you, Jennifer.
Okay, so I have mullingmortition.com, which is my website. I have a business page on Facebook, which is Mulling Mortition. I'm on Instagram as Mulling Mortition. I have a YouTube channel as Mulling Mortition. If you wish to email me and correspond with me, it's Mulling, and that's MULLING, mortition@gmail.com. You can find me there. You can find me in Messenger. I am also on LinkedIn. So you may have to look for me under my actual name, which is Jennifer Lares, Lares. And I'm happy to talk to folks, and I get random questions sometimes they need help with, and I don't mind helping with that. So
Thank you. Tanya?
All right, so for those listeners that hear me every month, I do not have a TV, so you can find me on LinkedIn. That is my hub, that is my social media platform. You can find me under Tanya Scotisi. I am the program coordinator for Miami-Dade College, so anybody interested in going to mortuary school, becoming licensed funeral director and embalmer, or we have a college credit certificate in Florida, which is Florida Funeral Director only. So if this conversation has inspired you this morning with Jen Lares and our beautiful host, Shireen, feel free to seek out a mortuary school education. There are currently 58 accredited programs. That number does switch here and there, but roughly 58 in the United States. I also serve as an expert witness for funeral home and cemetery litigation cases. That is almost a full-time job for me, so I do get called quite frequently. And I also serve as a senior placement specialist. That is my blessed work, matching people who can no longer live alone due to cognitive or physical challenges, matching them with the community here in Florida. The territories that I cover are Miami-Dade, Broward, and Sarasota County. There is no cost to use us. We get paid directly by the community if we make a match. So that's my wheelhouse, and let's back to you, Shireen.
Perfect. Yeah. So, listeners, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find Shireen's bookkeeping services on LinkedIn as well. You can also find it on all the socials like Instagram and Facebook. But Friends from Wild Places, you can find us on our website, friendsfromwildplaces.buzzsprout.com. That's friendsfromwildplaces.buzzsprout.com. You can also find us on YouTube. So if you want to see our funny faces as well as hear us, go ahead and find us there. Please take some time, share with us what you think, and give us a review. We really appreciate it. And go and check our previous episodes. If you like true crime, you'll find one of the criminal justice professors on board with us last month. Very interesting topics being discussed there. But other than that, thank you so much for listening. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, you got this, and stay wild. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Friends from Wild Places with Shireen Bueta. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast from the links to catch every episode and unleash your passion.